A harmonious dance is the only way to describe it. When I touch clay, I am dancing with what I was called to do. And it's amazing. Back in 2007 is when my oldest was about to graduate. And my life was, I identified as a mother. So when he was about to leave, I had lost myself. I didn't know who I was. And so at the time, I'm like, well, I just want to do something exactly that I love, and it was clay. So I said, well, I'll take a continuing education class in pottery at the local college. But little did I know what was to become. You know, when I touched clay, the only way to describe it was like when you have a light switch and there's no energy, and then you turn on that light switch and you are on and you are engaged. So there was this like amazing energy flow that I had with clay. The only way to describe it from then on was I need to hurry up. I need to hurry up. I need to make more. I need to know what this is all about. And it was amazing. I went from pottery to private lessons for about 7 months, 1 day a week. And that's all I know. That's the only type of education, I guess, if you will, that I have with sculpture. The rest is self-taught. There was definitely a moment in my life where I realized that God had this direction for me. It was a God-given ability. I didn't know I had it. Whenever I sculpted something or I painted something, the stories that would come back to me about, oh, this piece made me feel, I could feel the soul through their eyes, which in turn is yours. It was just a feeling that people kept bringing to me, that they could feel me through it. And then just the way people just really engage with the artwork. You know, it's just it's become a huge mission for me. And then, of course, God has a huge purpose, you know. The very first piece that came into my life, I was going through a really tough time. This commission came honestly out of the woodworks, you know. It was a St. Francis that I did. And throughout the time that I was commissioned to do it, it was for a 50th wedding anniversary. Oh, it was beautiful. And they lived in the Sam Houston National Forest. So St. Francis, you know, is an amazing figure in the Catholic faith, and, you know, I guess some others, you know. But anyway, the prayer pretty much saved my life throughout that time. It was absolutely spectacular if you look up, you know, what the prayer states. So then that was like the first time that it was like, wow, this is so impactful. This was life-changing for me, this piece of work, you know. And then when I gave it to the family, oh my gosh, I mean, it was just something that was so powerful for them. And then the commissions have kept coming with the Jesus sculptures or a Jesus bust. And then I got the great honor to sculpt a 5-foot, like almost 6-foot Jesus for a family memorial. And that was just amazing. And then it's like after the fact, when you do something like that, you almost have an out-of-body experience. You can't believe that you did something like that. That's what happened to me. I think I realized what I had done about a year later. And I went back, or I looked at a piece of photography or something, and I mean, I just broke down. Couldn't believe it. So it's those things that make me realize this is more than me. This is more than just me and a girl that just wants to, or a lady, or, you know, that wants to just sculpt just to do it, you know, or just for fun. There's just something so much more than what I even know that's my mission for this. The very first piece I ever did was for my son's high school, was a mascot, the Cypress Woods Wildcat. That was another God moment. The officials of the school had to unanimously vote on that as well. The gentleman that allowed me even the opportunity to have a meeting, I had just gotten out of the training, the 7 months. And for some reason, I'm like, I could do it. I could do it. I could do this. You know, I had never really done a huge, giant piece of public art. And I sat in the office and I was speaking to this gentleman, and the whole time I'm nervous as a heart attack, and he's just smiling. And I'm like, is this guy laughing at me? Like, what's going on here? Like, does he think I can't do it? Because I was like, well, I was a stay-at-home mom, and, but this is what I really want to do. Can you give me the chance to, your 4,000 school facility of people. And so he just smiled and goes, Miss Shirley, do you know what God's timing is? And I said, what? And he goes, so I have this folder of this very prolific artist that I've held on to for over a year. And I didn't know why I was holding on to this folder for so long until today. He goes, everything is in God's timing. The cat will be yours. We'll vote on it. But I can assure you, it was meant for you. And everything in me froze. I couldn't even believe this man was saying that. Because he had, I wasn't talking about my faith or anything. I was just telling him how passionate I was about it. And, I know schools and, you can't really talk about, but he just said, this is God's timing. This is your turn. And I was just overwhelmed. I couldn't even speak from that point on. And I just sat back and I said, thank you. Thank you for the chance and believing in me. And I promise you that you will have the best Wildcat this community's ever seen. 6 months it took for the completion of the Wildcat. It's a 750-pound Wildcat. It's over 10 feet long from head to tail. How that happened, just by God alone. So that was one of my very first pieces of artwork for the community. I'm inspired by life. I'm inspired by the snippets of the memories that we leave with our families, with our friends. I'm inspired by that moment that most people might take for granted. But for me, it's eternal because our upbringing, to me, I find is very important. It's where you will have your traumas. It's where you will have your incredible moments that you will never, ever forget. It molds you. So those childhood memories are very, very important. So if you have that grandfather that started an entire town, the baby that we lost so early, a police officer that is a fallen servant to our community, a firefighter, military, all those people that are selfless in their acts, for me, they need to be commemorated here. I always find for some reason in the back of my head, I'm always thinking, well, if there's a big comet and we all get wiped out again, what's going to last, and so all the archaeology that people go back and they find. So for me, it's like, okay, well, my bronze statues could stand the test of time. So if they're digging up a guy, they're like, well, what's that about? And what did they do? Well, in the history books, it'll show these are the people that did this, or these are the people that, made a difference. It takes one human being to change the world. You can't do it. It takes one person. So those are the people that I adore. Those are the people that I want to stay here on this earth after I'm gone. And, to be reminded of those things, so those kinds of things inspire me. The legacy makers. So that was a station agent, Ken Walden, in Tomball, Texas. I was commissioned by the mayor and all of the townspeople. He was an iconic figure for Tomball. This was a gentleman that was also a selfless servant. He volunteered for over 10 years to be at the depot on weekends. And he had such a passion for trains. And that became just kind of, a very big symbol for Tomball. That was part of, how it was founded. So Ken would go every weekend and he would dress just like the era back in the day with his perfect beard and his beautiful conductor hat. And he would just take you on a trip back in time. And he just was so passionate about trains. I had the honor of knowing him in person. And the craziest part of that whole story was the day that we did meet. And at the time when my husband and I were leaving, I turned and I said to him, oh my gosh, he's so sculptable. It'd be so awesome to sculpt him one day. And years later, as life would have it, I did. And that was just gosh, what an experience that was. And the love that the community had for him, oh gosh, that all exuded into me. And his family, they would come and they would laugh and they'd cry. That was an experience I will never forget. So we put him back where his life and where his passion was. Giving kids that opportunity, that moment in time to learn about trains and to love their community. It was a beautiful place. It still is. Ken was just a light to so many. So I was just so honored to bring him back to the community of Tomball. He was just definitely one of those legacy makers. I learned very soon that you have to have a thick skin, that it's public. You will get all sorts of opinions about things, you know. The beautiful thing that I found was it was the way they engage with it. So till this day, like for the Wildcat, for instance, I get some of my friends, their children that were in elementary school, they'll send me pictures of their senior pictures and they're holding the Wildcat. And I just, that was the reason. It was for them. It was for all of them. It was for them to believe in something, believe in their community, believe in themselves, you know, be part of something. And so those things are just, the public art drives me. It was something that at first I wasn't even thinking about, you know, but once it was out there, you're very exposed, you know, that's you, that's a part of you, that's something you sculpted. Some people may like it, some people may not, you know, and you're going to have to be okay with that. But that's just life in itself, isn't it? You know, so, I find it just beautiful at the fact that people can go to a town and take pictures with Ken now from Tomball, or, you know, just the Wildcat, or St. Francis, or, you know what I mean? Animals, you know, it's just beautiful to me that they're like, oh, look, this is, you know, this is your sculpture. You took it, you know, you did this, and look, my whole family took a picture with it. You know, it's just very humbling, and it's just, I love it. I love it because it's a part of the memory. It's part of your memory moment. You had a good time while you were there, and then you engaged with it. Yeah, there is. There's a power in public art. Art is a universal language for me, like music, like dance. It connects us. It identifies us as a culture. Everybody that, you know, there's certain ways that the Aztecs did their artwork. There's certain ways that the Incas did their art, you know, but if you find them from all over the other sides of the planet, there's a similarity between the two. You know, it's just fascinating to me. So for me, art connects us. It unifies us. It's a universal language. It doesn't divide us. Art brings us together. It brings us joy. It brings us a memory and time. You know, oh, the lighting of a Christmas tree, or, whatever the occasion might be, you know. I just find that it's just this feeling that people get. You live with that piece of work. You look at it and it makes you feel something. It calms you down. If it's an ocean wave, or if it's a flower, or if it's a landscape of a mountain that you went to visit in Colorado, you know, those things you take with you, those kinds of things. So for me, art is just, it's beautiful. Art is beautiful. It's a human experience. I started with wet clay, which to me was of the earth. That's why I feel so connected, because it's from the earth, and it's cold, and it's wet, and, it's this feeling of, I start with a block, and I can create anything with that block. It's infinity. You know, I could create whatever it is that I put my mind to doing it within my realm of knowledge, you know, and my scope of capability. But it's an amazing, you know, experience. It's kind of like you're almost, you know, shaping and molding something coming to life, like a mother giving birth to a child. You know, you're bringing something to life. It's so fascinating to me. I love for people to be able to engage with the art. So 3D for me, that's why it fascinates me so much. Even though I love and admire 2D work, but I I would like the 360 degree of being in the moment, in the presence of your surroundings, that you can go around the statue and embrace it that way. That's what I find fascinating. It takes up space. I am very proud of the fact that I start from scratch. It's such an amazing process. It's such a fine work of art. It's just probably one of the toughest mediums to work with because it is so expensive to do and to create, and the time that it takes to do it, the casting and the building of it. And then after that, you have to weld the pieces back together. It's quite a huge, 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 process. So I love to teach a lot of times my clients. I take pictures throughout the whole process so that they can understand what I'm doing. A lot of times people are like, oh, well, do you just pour the bronze on top of the clay? No, that would be so nice, but it's such a huge process, that even when I speak of it, I get a lot of, oh, that's so beyond my thought of, which is fascinating because I guess after so many years, it's just now standard in me. I love teaching the process of bronze because it is so intricate and it's so detailed and it's quite a few steps. So you take 3 times between once a bust or whatever is made in clay, then wax, then final bronze. So it takes 3 times a piece. Once I sculpt, I literally have like this mode where I cannot stop. The first time was with the painting that I did, of the Jesus face, the face. And, I started at 9 o'clock at night. And then when I woke up from what it was 6 in the morning. I couldn't believe it. It literally felt like 30 minutes. So that was my very first experience with something like that. It was just so powerful. Others probably will know in the art world what that's like. And I think that's what feeds us even more because of, all the space and time disappeared. It's really an unbelievable experience. So it happens quite a bit when I sculpt. Everything goes away and you're just focused on that hand or that lip or that ear, and before you know it, it's 3 hours later. And it's just the most incredible thing. It's just the only way to do it is to live it, I guess. Or when you find a passion and, everything just goes away and it's just a beautiful feeling. I don't know how I can describe it. It's just euphoric is, I guess, the way to describe it. As this journey has unfolded for me, I am setting aside every ounce of the word fear because fear is a liar and fear is not of God. And I know that I have lived with fear for a very long time. And I feel like I have to inspire others into believing, that you can do it. You can do whatever you set your mind to do. Don't listen to the negative. Don't listen to the doubters. What you have inside your soul, that voice. There's an inner voice in all of us. It's kind of like that fight or flight syndrome that we have for safety, this kind of feeling. There's just a voice inside that says you can do it. Don't listen to the people that want to, put you in that box. Oh, because of this past, therefore you have to be this. Or, no, you can't do that. You're a female. You're, too young. You're too old. You can't, don't listen to a thing. Believe what you have inside and, just keep pushing through. The only way to describe it is kind of like in a tunnel and you're just kind of like dig dug, and you're just like in that dirt, that big tunnel of dirt and you're just scraping through straight to get to the other side, and that's kind of like how I've had the tunnel vision myself to just take the negativity away, and just focus on the bigger vision of what you want to accomplish. Keep pushing through, even when times get tough. If that's in your heart, if that's a passion you have, who knows, you could be that next amazing, brilliant artist that we all need to see. Why would someone want to close that down? Why would someone want to shut that idea? We weren't meant to be in a dark closet, hidden somewhere. We were all meant to shine. Shine your light, and don't be afraid to shine your light. That was a huge leap of faith. For most people, that's just part of the ones that kind of leave their work in the garage. And then the ones that are just saying, I dare to do so. I dare to show myself. Because even in the gallery, you're in public. You're a public display. It just got to that point to where it was like, I think I'm ready. So I always tell artists, develop a big body of work. Develop a consistent body of work. And then when you're ready for that, you go and you show your portfolio to a gallery. But never be afraid, and you're going to get no's, and that's okay. You know, that might not be the perfect spot for you. Maybe it's this other door that will open. So don't be afraid of the closed doors. Just keep prying through until one of them will open, and that'll be the door you need to be in. Keep pursuing what you want, your love and your passion of your arts, and whatever drive that you have inside, I mean, just keep listening to that. Expect the no's. And when the yeses do come, they're magnificent. They're just so beautiful. And it's a beautiful relationship that happens with galleries. They're the face of your work while you're not there. And, you know, some galleries nowadays, it's getting, you know, the price point can be a little steep sometimes, you know, when it comes to doing agreements or, you know, this or that. So you just have to be careful with who you pick and choose in galleries. But for the most part, it's always been very positive for me. I have a gallery that I show in Galveston called the Faraday Art, and with Scott and Samitha Edwards, and they're amazing. And they also own From the Heart Gallery. And then I show in Austin at ASCAP, right in front of the Oasis at Lake Travis. And so these people are like my family. They get me. And they are so honored to have me as much as I'm honored to share their name. So it's a beautiful relationship between an artist and a gallerist. I highly recommend that. And as a woman sculptor, we're rare. And I'm up against some great guys out there, you know, and it's a labor intensive job, what I have found. And it's tough being in the art world. It's not easy. But what I can tell you is that it's in every fiber of my being to sculpt. It is definitely what I was called to do. And, you know, the naysayers and the people that tell you you can't, I want to show myself that yes, I can when you put your mind to it, when you will it into existence. We can do anything that we set our minds to do if you just believe enough, you know, and I have to believe in myself enough to keep going. And with the faith that I have, I'm just a huge person of faith, and I give all honor and glory to God for this. He has given me this opportunity. That's the only way to describe it. I don't know other than that. Now I know more than ever that it was Him that has guided me to this. So that's what I've got.